From the beautiful campus of Casper College, it's time to dive into the world of Casper College athletics with another episode of the Casper College Coaches Show. Now here's your host, Phil Kohler.
Welcome, fans, to the Casper College Coaches Show. I'm your host, Phil Kohler, joined as always by the head coach of the Lady Thunderbirds, Dwight Gennari. Coach, good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Always a good time to come in here and talk about a couple of wins.
Yes.
You guys moved to 23-5 overall, 9-1 in conference play. You move up to 17 in the country. You got to be feeling good about the streak that you guys are on.
It is. We've played pretty good basketball down the stretch, and when you look back right now to say we're 23-5 and the position we're in, you know, if you would ask me that in August, would I take it? I would have taken it in a heartbeat. Absolutely. And a lot of hard work went into that. Really proud of the girls' effort, and we've put ourselves into a position to make a run in the postseason.
Yep, absolutely. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later, but let's first focus on the two games that you played last week. You start with Northwest last Wednesday at their place, come away with a win 72-64, a game that was actually pretty close all the way through. But you're led in scoring by Lutza Axe. She scores 18 points. She's somebody that has kind of been that odd person out as far as when you start to sub and you've got to go smaller to defend at a high level. But, man, she really played well on Wednesday. Talk about what she brings to the table.
It is. That's a tough matchup. You know, if a lot of teams are going 5 out when she's in, you know, so forcing her to guard out on the perimeter. And there's times where she can do a nice job in there. So it's kind of a tactical chess match there where if we can score more points inside than we're giving out on the perimeter when we're playing defense, then it's a plus for us. Otherwise, then we have to make a change. And so it is tough. She has been, you know, there's been times where she's been the key or a huge key in our being successful, and that's going to continue going forward. The other thing that, you know, she can do is she can stretch the floor a little bit. She can knock down some threes. I think she's got a decent percentage right now. So very good asset, but at times the defensive side of the ball kind of dictates how we have to match up.
Well, and she's so skilled on the offensive side and certainly makes it tough to guard. You guys shot 50% from the three-point line. Does that have something to do with Lutza and the defensive adjustment that they had to make?
It absolutely does, because, you know, a lot of times it takes 2 to guard Lutza. So anytime they're sending an extra defender in there, there's going to be somebody open on the perimeter, and they're also going to help a little more. Their gap helps a little bit more, so we're going to have a little better look on 3. So, yeah, Lutza's presence definitely has an effect on our perimeter play as well.
Sure. You guys are up 15 at halftime, really almost up 15 going into the end of the third quarter. You guys have the last possession, don't get it to go. They bank in a 3, kind of have momentum going into the fourth quarter. Is the fourth quarter kind of something that you've been working on as far as it's kind of been a little bit of a struggle in closing out games?
It is, and you know, we definitely pointed that out during that game and in film session afterwards, because in postseason, you know, you've got to be able to finish games. And we had multiple quick possessions, again, whether it was because we turned it over in transition or just turned it over period or took quick shots. And Northwest made 7 threes in the fourth quarter there. They made 11 for the game, and 7 of those came in the fourth quarter. And a big problem was us turning it over or us having quick possessions and giving them those opportunities. So absolutely, we've got to work on game finishing games.
Well, and you look back at that one loss that you guys had against Western Wyoming and the one conference loss that you guys had, kind of a similar situation, and I'm sure that's something that you're going to practice and trying to shore up.
It is a similar situation, and those are 2 very similar teams, and there's more of those. And the teams that can, you know, have multiple people that can make threes and get hot, you know, those are the ones that are going to come back and erase a 15-point lead in a heartbeat. And Northwest is one of those teams. Western Wyoming is one of those teams. And there's a couple others in the South. So finishing games and understanding game situation is definitely a focus going forward.
Well, and then Saturday you guys go to Riverton, and it's almost a flip-flop. You guys come away with a 19-point victory, but very different than the first time you played them here in Casper. You guys kind of got off to a slow start. You're up 3 at the end of 1. You're up 4 at halftime, but then you really kind of played better in the second half.
The first half score wasn't a surprise to me because they've been playing better.
Yes,
and
very capable team.
And when we beat them, as we beat them at our end, there were a lot of things that, you know, I called it a perfect storm because, you know, we were on fire. They weren't, you know, that was so misleading. I knew that wasn't going to happen. But there were some things in the first half. I don't think we were as focused as we should. We didn't handle the press break as well as we would like. We had some unforced turnovers, and so the first half I wasn't pleased with the way we played. Wasn't shocked on the score at halftime because I knew Central would be a lot better, but was a little disappointed on how we played in the first half. They did bounce back in the second half. We did clean some things up, and then we pulled away eventually.
Well, and we talk on this show all the time about how a team's record or the first time that you played them doesn't necessarily dictate the way that it's going to be the second time around, and I think this was a pretty good example.
Our whole region is that way this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know who's going to get into the Region 9 tournament. But there will be 6 of those 8 teams that I think will have an equal shot, and you'll look at the records and you'll say, no way.
Yeah.
Right? But there are some talent. LCCC is one, Eastern is one, Northwest is one, Western Wyoming is one. There's a lot of teams, and there's 3 or 4 in the South. I think that Region 9 tournament could go a lot of different directions.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that you have that the other teams don't is that combo of Andy Schisler and Logan Alvar, and those two really got it going Saturday.
Yeah.
Andy comes in, gets 20 points, 6 of 10 from 3. Logan gets a season high of 22 points. I mean, those two, when they're playing well, have got to be one of the best duos in Region 9.
They are. They can put up numbers in a hurry, and I think if we can get that kind of production from those two on a consistent basis, that's going to really, because we have a lot of supporting cast. Angela's in there, Anna's in there, Autumn. I mean, but if we can consistently get that type of offensive performance from them, and Andy I think she was 6 for 10 on threes, which very, very capable of doing that. I've seen her get hot in practice, and that girl can fill it up. And Logan, Logan had a typical game where she runs the floor really well, gets some transition, and she had some offensive rebounds in this game. And that's the part of her game that I think if she's locked into that, she can score 4 to 6 just on offensive rebounds. She's that athletic, has those great hands. So, if we can keep her going to the boards, I think she can keep that offensive production up.
Yeah, and two of those points, you guys as a team kind of struggled shooting the ball in the first half of the season. Yeah. All of a sudden this weekend, you guys 45% from 3. Is that something that you guys have been really spending some time focusing on?
I think you can't we have taken a ton of threes, more threes in practice, pre-practice shooting, and Coach Macy's focused on that in the individual. So the answer to that is definitely yes. I don't ever get too high or too low on 3-point shooting percentages because they can dip, and I know I'm getting in front of our lead here, but like Eastern Wyoming shot 14% against us in threes in our game, and that's not the case. So, if you're going to count on, okay, we were 45 2 games in a row, so we're going to stay that way, can't. We've got to win games in a different manner, be prepared to win in a different manner.
Well, and the other positive to this is even when you're missing shots, it seems like every shot that goes up, you guys are rebounding either on the offensive or defensive side. Again, you guys were not a great rebounding team early in the season, but to give you some stats, you guys are plus 18 on the boards on Wednesday, plus 13 on the boards on Saturday. So far in conference play, you guys are plus 127 in 10 games. You're averaging to out-rebound a team by 12.7 rebounds per game, and that's providing all these extra possessions and all these points. I mean, you guys have really turned that around.
There's 2 things, and you just mentioned one of them, is possessions. Yeah. Shooting percentages are going to be relatively close, but if you can get extra opportunities, by reducing turnovers, which is still a focus we need to get on, but the boards has been consistent there, and so those possessions. And the other thing about rebounding, I think, makes me the most happiest is because it's effort.
Yes. Rebounding
is effort, and that tells me my team has great effort. And that whatever the outcome is all we can do is our best effort, and rebounding is effort. And so that stat there is a recognition of our team.
Well, and it's such a 5-person job too, right?
It is.
And you look at your guards are 3 of your best rebounders on the team. Yeah. And we talked earlier about Lutza not playing a ton of minutes because you're having to go smaller, and you guys are still really just pounding teams on the boards. Really speaks volumes to all 5 players that are on the floor rebounding it at a high level.
It is, and it also speaks to really, in honesty, all 14, because we emphasize that a lot in practice. Yeah. So blocking out is an emphasis and going to get to rebounds. So, anything that you do in a game has to be something you've done in practice repetitively over and over and over. And so I do feel like this is totally a team stat here, and it's a team stat that starts in practice.
Absolutely. Well, and Coach, looking ahead at this weekend, you've got 2 really big conference games. Last 2 conference games of the regular season, starting in Torrington on Friday and then going down to LCCC on Saturday. You've got to win one of the 2 in order to clinch that home court advantage in Region 9. I know we talk about it a lot on here, but it's such a big deal for you guys to be able to host that tournament.
It is. Obviously travel. It would be nice not to have to travel. Second thing is you're very familiar with the facility. You've practiced 150 times, it seems like, in that facility and shot at those rims. And then thirdly, and not anything in no particular order, is playing in front of our fans is so much fun. So that, yes, it would be definitely, our goal is going to be win that Region 9 tournament regardless, but it would be fun to host it and play at home.
Absolutely. So looking ahead, again, you guys are going to Torrington on Friday, 5:30 tip-off against Eastern. Eastern has a tough weekend. They've got you guys on Friday, and then they'll host Western Wyoming on Saturday. Those three teams could still finish anywhere between 1 and 3. So Eastern obviously playing for a lot. You guys took them down 85-66 the first time that you played, but you talk about they didn't shoot it very well, and they've definitely got a chip on their shoulder.
That was one of the things that I put immediately on my post-game notes was the shooting percentages. We did some really good things, don't get me wrong, but we can't get fooled by that score because shooting percentages, we shot the ball really well. I think we were 45 from 3 again, and they were 14, and that's not them, So we're going to have to be better in some areas to win this game. Obviously, you're on the road. They are a very good basketball team, very well coached by Coach Larson. He does some good adjustments in there, and so it'll be a handful.
Yeah, a team that lives and dies by the free throw line. They get to the free throw line 15th most in the country, and they shoot it 5th best in the country. That's got to be an emphasis of yours, to stopping the dribble drive and making sure that you're defending without fouling.
It is that, and we say that just about every game because that's where offenses are going now. But there's some teams that create bigger problems because of that, and their free throw ability. You can't let them get to the rim, obviously, but you can't send them to the free throw line. And if you help too much, they're going to kick to the shooter. So they are a team that really, really puts stress. And the thing that I wasn't expecting going in the first game, I was expecting a total perimeter-oriented team. They've got good inside play too, so they're pretty balanced all around.
Yeah, and again, a team that comes in having won 3 in a row, a lot to play for this weekend. Give us one key to that game on Friday going down to Torrington. Is it going to be on the defensive end and slowing them down?
It always is for me. I'm that type of coach.
Yeah.
It always is, and it's going to get back to our rebounding and taking care of the possessions with our turnovers and things. But it is going to be defensive because they're multi-weapon. They have multi-weapons, and so to me, it is a defensive effort.
Absolutely. So then Friday night, you guys head down to Cheyenne to play LCCC. It's their sophomore day. You know how emotional those days can get, and not only the sophomores, but the freshmen want to win for the sophomores. It's got to be, a little bit of a different look for you.
It is extra juice. Yeah. There is a little bit more, not that we ever need a little bit more, but that day is a little special, and you're 100% right. The sophomores want to win their last game, and everybody wants their sophomores to go out on their last home game on a positive note. So, yeah, I think everybody's going to be putting out their best effort, and that should be a really good ball game because they're a very good basketball team.
Yeah, they come in 11-15 overall, they've lost 4 out of 6. But just like we talk about every week, this team is very capable. They're obviously playing for seeding now in the Region 9 tournament and where they're going to go for that play-in game. But a team, again, with the chip on their shoulder that wants to come out and beat you guys.
They are definitely a good basketball team, and they could beat anyone in our north. Records are so misleading this year. It is unbelievable because there's way more parity than the records reflect. LCCC is one. They have got probably one of the best post players in Region 9, if not with Lila Springs. Their guard play with their point guard is very good. Driver. And they've got a couple players that are playing that didn't play against us the first time. One's a pretty good three-point shooter, and then another one is a forward post that's going to just enhance their inside game. So they're going to be tough.
Always a tough place to play down there, too, and especially a team that comes in very defensive-oriented, only allowing 63 points a game. To give you fans just kind of an idea, you guys are averaging 80 points a game. So something's got to give there. What's going to be the key for you guys? Can we talk about offense? Is that going to be something
there's just general things that we'll visit about. I think one thing that makes them such a good defensive team is Lila Springs again. Yeah. She's 6'2", and she can protect the rim. It's not just taking away somebody's inside game; it's protecting the rim on dribble drive. So we'll as we did in the first, Lusa can shoot the 3. And so we're going to try to pull away a little bit there and stuff. But they're going to be. It is I'm looking to land somewhere in the middle there.
Yeah.
We aren't going to probably average our 80 points, and hopefully we can extend a little over their season average. And if we can get to the 70-point mark, we're going to have a legitimate shot, but it's going to be a battle to score points.
Yeah, absolutely. And 2 big ones this weekend, Coach. Hopefully we're sitting in these chairs next week talking about how you've got an extended break before we get to host the Region 9 tournament.
That would be an exciting visit. I would love that a lot. There's a lot on the line this week. We just practiced first day yesterday. I like the look in our team's eye. I think they know what's at stake, and it's not too much, too little. It's just they understand the situation. And so this is going to be a fun week, and hopefully the outcome comes our way.
Absolutely. And, Coach, knowing that you just need to win 1 out of these 2 in order to win the conference, does that change the way that you do anything? I mean, obviously,
you're wise beyond your years, Phil. You've been listening to our conversations, haven't you? It's amazing because you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you how I'm looking at it here eventually. If you put all your eggs in the basket against Eastern to get that 1 win, and you don't get it, and you're totally not prepared for LCCC, then you could be set yourself up for 2. But if you divide your time and you're not ready for Eastern, you could lose 2. But the way I'm looking at it, and we talked to the team about it, it's perfect to find out how are we going to prepare for the regional tournament.
Yeah.
We've got multiple games, and they're back to back, and so we can learn a lot on how we prepare for Friday, Saturday, and use that going into the postseason. So I don't know that answer right now, and each practice is going to tell me how much I can put in the next game. But it's, again, great experience for what's coming our direction.
Well, and it's a great point because I was getting ready to bash the schedule and how you have to play back-to-back nights. But no, you're right. It's a perfect opportunity for you to see because hopefully when you guys are hosting the Region 9, you're playing on Thursday, but then Friday, Saturday night and getting prepared for that championship.
Well, and like we talked earlier in the conversation here, Thursday night's going to be a battle for whoever's playing on Thursday night.
Yes.
This is really, usually you can say there's 2 really good favorites and maybe a third.
Yeah.
I will not say that this year. I think they're, NJC only has 3 losses, and they're very good and stuff like that.
Western Nebraska, very good team
very
too.
good, and they're right now probably going to finish 3rd in the South. So our 2 seed's going to open up with Western Nebraska, which is usually a 1 seed typically. That Region 9 tournament, we're just hoping it's here, should be a battle.
And it's going to be a lot of fun, Coach.
Yes, it will.
But before that, we've got to focus on Friday night, 5:30 from Torrington, Wyoming, Eastern Wyoming, and then Saturday at 2 o'clock, against LCCC. Coach, hopefully we're back in these seats talking about a couple of wins next
That would be a great conversation to have with you.
All right, Coach. Best of luck to you this weekend. Fans, remember, always shoot for the stars because even if you miss, there's always a chance for an offensive rebound.